Gator's going off again.
It's a football team. What else do you want from me?
Look at the football team.
Who is your daddy? I am the father.
You fathers will understand.
My father taught me many things.
I got an idea. How about you all sit there quietly while I make dad noises?
Oh, your dad.
All right, buddy. I appreciate everything you do for this family.
And for this podcast.
He does. He does a lot for. Hey, you got to close the door. We don't want the sound from the outside.
You don't want sound from the outside or what?
Yeah. All right. I'm ready to go.
My wife once wanted to know tonight when I came down here to record if I wanted one of my kids to come in naked to join the show.
I feel like
told her,
that's only fair.
Dad, my headset.
Did she actually watch it?
Yeah, I showed her the clip of it after I edited everything together, and she thought it was pretty funny. But I told her it's funny when it's unplanned, and it's super creepy and weird if we were to plan the child nudity. So, no.
Yeah, that's the only thing. I'm not having Eli on because I'm like, ooh, let's just keep bringing him on because he's funny, but I don't have anything to do with him.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I'll kind of say that, like, hopefully he won't be a distraction. This is kind of what our podcast is, anyway.
Yeah, it is one big distraction. All right, well, welcome to you guys who are listening. This is episode 35, and I wanted to kick things off by we have to recap. It's like when last week's game ends on a buzzer beater. You know, it's one of those things where it ended on such a memorable note that we need to address it. And so I'm glad you have Eli with you tonight. I know it's kind of just a coincidence that he is because of the way your household is set up tonight. But I know that our listeners and viewers were also very entertained by what Eli provided for us last week.
In our small fan base, Eli's become, I would say, the most popular part of our show.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know people were already talking about getting rid of me and Eli replacing me on the show, so that was nice.
Yep.
I heard that.
So, you want to ask Eli if he wants to...
jazzy stuff.
All right.
You want to ask Eli if he wants to address the group? Does he want to intro the show? What does he want to do? This is his chance to shine before he has to.
Okay, Tim's asking you to intro the show.
What?
Intro the show, buddy.
I'm getting bored already.
Okay, well, you got to stay quiet, all right? That's his intro. He's getting bored already.
Getting bored already. He's echoing the thoughts of dozens of listeners. All right.
Exactly.
Is that normal for you guys? Your sons just come walking in naked? Is that pretty standard? Okay.
Yeah.
It is in our
Eli,
family too, so.
It's so much harder to get Eli dressed than it is to get him undressed. That sounds creepy, but it's true. Like, we'll have him take a bath, and once he's taken the bath, it's like takes forever, or at least it feels like that, for him to convince him that he needs clothes, that not everybody wants to see his willy willy.
That was my favorite line from last week, by the way, was, Mr. Nestor just saw your willy willy. That's
I mean, everything that happened was completely reactionary. I was like, I didn't know that was going to happen. But I noticed, and I don't know if people notice when they watch the show, but I know because I can feel my own feelings. That's deep. That when I started hearing the noise in the background, this was well before he walked in, I was like getting pissed because I'm like, this is a good show, and they're gonna run it. And then, sure enough,
you know what's funny though
Eli
is that
comes in.
Most people who watched it, I think they would agree that that's what made the show one of the most impactful yet. So. And
then Topless Tuesday came in on a Wednesday. I mean, Ian came. Oh, you guys are recording.
I love the way he came walking in and kind of posed like a football player too. That was really great. Thank you, Teague family, for everything.
Yeah, so it was a great show.
It was. It was a great show. Well, we've got some topics to cover tonight, gaming related. I really doesn't bother me at all if Eli interjects at any point with some thoughts or random noises, so don't sweat that too much. I also like that Derek and I had talked about editing out that whole ending, and a couple times you saw, if you watched last week's episode, where he said, "Edit me in right here," and he tried to keep talking, and I decided just to leave it all, and I let Derek look at it first before we posted it live, and I liked it for several reasons. One, it made me laugh really hard; it was just very funny, but also it was a very real example of why we called the show what we call it, why we like sitting and talking like we do, because we have families. Life is crazy. Finding these little windows of time for complete quiet, quote-unquote complete quiet, just to chat for a little while about video games in a way that we can record and let others listen in on is so challenging. And so that was a great example of that last week. So thanks for letting us get an insight into the T household.
I was going to say, I can't even get an hour by myself. I literally have him right here. This was not intentionally done.
Yeah.
This is just how it is. He's got to be in this room because the entire house is taken up with people.
The fans demanded his return, so you can't deny them.
The crowd goes wild.
You cannot deny them.
You can see how interested he is. So.
Yeah, and he already said, "I'm already bored." So, whatever. All right. Oh, Eli.
Yeah, I think he's watching Angry Birds, so we might get like random giggles.
That's fine. All right, that'll make this more endearing than when it's just the two of us, because I don't think anything we ever do is endearing and like, aw. So we need that.
Let's address the elephant in the room.
Yeah.
That was just my dramatic way of saying Tim Nestor got a haircut.
I did get a haircut. That's right. If I were on my dad joke game, I would have responded a little quicker. I just now thought of it. I would have said, I actually got them all cut, but it was too late. I missed the window. I'm sorry.
I don't get it. You got to explain that joke to me.
You said you got a haircut, and I said I got them all cut? Come on. Dad jokes.
I don't get it. What am I missing?
All right, let's break it down. You got a haircut, like a single haircut. No, I actually got them all cut. Come on.
Oh, I thought you said mall with an M. And I'm like, what is he talking about?
Oh, boy.
Now, that's a real dad joke because we're just so damn old we don't even know what each one's saying.
All right. Edit the whole show in right here.
Wow. I got a mall cut. I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm sitting here thinking shops, stores. I don't get it.
Oh, dad jokes. Wow. One of my friends at work now, he is also a dad, and he loves the dad jokes. Every once in a while, I'll just get a random text. I'll be sitting there watching a show with my wife, and then he'll text me some stupid dad joke that he found, but I'm dying laughing. And I try to share it with my wife. She's not on board. She's not on board with the dad jokes.
No.
Oh, well. All right, let's talk about video games. Let's get away from family overexposure and other things and bad jokes that have to be explained and then are even worse. Let's get away from all that.
This is a rough intro. You're going to have to literally edit the whole thing out.
This is
just
good.
Have us come in with, so what are you playing this week?
No, we're gonna leave it in all of its awkward glory. All right, so let's talk about what we're playing this week. We've got a few headlines we're going to cover. Nintendo had a bunch of announcements this past week and another announcement or two here. And then we're going to talk about what we consider to be the best games of the summer, but also what Metacritic considers to be the best games of the summer. So before we get to those things, let's talk about what we are currently playing, because I know my list has changed quite a bit in the last week and a half. So let's start with you this time. What have you been playing?
Actually, like a lot. I'll just start off with, I think I talked about this last week, but I can't remember. Everything's a blur. I beat Deus Ex Mankind Divided, and I know I talked about that last week, but I then jumped into a second playthrough, and I'm about halfway through. But I actually haven't played it the last 3 or 4 days because Resident Evil 4, this is how awesome I am. Resident Evil 4 launched on the PS4 and Xbox One, and I was real excited. I pre-ordered it on the PS4, and then I ended up hooking up my Xbox 360 from a conversation with you, Tim, about downloading the updated college football rosters for NCAA football. Yes. So I went and did that. That excited my pants, and we will talk about that in a second. Yeah. Excited them. And then, so I downloaded that, and then I went on and I was like, oh, I played Resident Evil 4. Now, let me say this. I've never beaten Resident Evil 4 by myself. Even though it's a solo game, I always played it with my cousin. It was
Oh,
like one of those
gotcha.
things where, like, he died, I would take the controller, I'd die, he'd take it. But he never really died, so he played 90% of the time. So I wanted to beat this game for myself. So I had started it on the 360 a while back. I'm not even going to get into whenever it released. And I had gotten about 12 hours into it. So I was in chapter 4 of 5 chapters.
Okay.
And so I was like, I can either start it over on the PS4, which I just bought it for, or we can just try to finish our 360 version since we have my 360 hooked up.
There you go.
I did that, and for the last 3 days, I've played about 8 hours. It took me 20 hours to beat that game. Is it really supposed to be that long?
It is. It is a long adventure for a Resident Evil game, especially. Yep.
It pissed me off.
Yeah.
I just, whatever. Anyway, so I played it. I actually finished it tonight, right before we recorded.
Nice.
Beat the final boss, and
now you said you were concerned about the ammo count that you were left with towards the end there. How did that come together for you?
Well, I actually wasn't as bad off as I thought. Here's the funny thing. So we can talk about Resident Evil for a little bit, and then I know you want to talk about it. I went through a couple boss battles towards the end of the game that were extremely infuriating.
Yeah.
One was actually, in my opinion, and I'm sure people will combat me and tell me I'm an idiot because it's Resident Evil 4 and that's a perfect game, that I felt was somewhat broken. And it was the one against the little midget dude. I know that's not politically correct, but it's a little annoying run.
Yes, I remember what you're talking about. Yeah.
So anyways, so I'm fighting him, and here's why I say this is kind of broken. It's not broken, it just felt unfair. There is an attack move that he can do that's a one-shot. He basically opens his mouth up, and he comes at you, and if you don't move, you're dead.
Yeah.
Right? Fine. I get it. I watched it. I knew when he was going to do it. The problem is there's these two little tentacles that you can shoot if you want, or you can ignore them.
And they move just like that.
Yeah. And so what happens is one of them will do this, and I'll do the little, quick time event, and I'll flip out of it. Now, while I'm flipping, he then goes into his one shot. And this happened 4 times, where I would do the quick time event correctly, and then the animation would get done, and then it would immediately go into the one-shot kill, and I would die. And it happened like at least 4 times, and I was furious. So needless to say, I felt like that was a cheap boss fight. And that actually ended up being tied for the hardest boss fight.
How do you feel about yourself now that you've conquered that game, one that you hadn't beat yet?
I'm really happy. But I gotta say, I'm a bigger fan of Resident Evil 5 and 6 over 4.
Wow.
I felt like 4 starts off amazing.
It does.
4 has got the best setting in the beginning.
And it's like, wait, these aren't zombies.
Really
What's going on?
creepy.
It's real weird. Yeah.
Yeah, you start off really good, and then the last 2 chapters were just like, God, this is dragging so badly. And then I kept getting into boss fights that, while challenging, and I enjoyed the challenge because I did beat them all, and the one that I was just talking about, that boss fight, that one took me the longest, and I died maybe 9-10 times.
Okay.
The other ones I didn't die. In fact, the final boss fight, beat him on the first try.
Oh, nice.
I was nervous about fighting him because the other 2 I just fought. The other one, I don't know if you remember it, Kraus. You fight him.
I remember the name.
It felt like a Metal Gear.
Yeah, I'm going to
Solid.
talk about Resident Evil here in just a second, but no, I don't remember that. I don't remember the exact fight.
He's like the other American buff dude who looks like a buff Adam Wesker. And it felt like a Metal Gear Solid fight because he just basically walks at you and you're just trying to shoot him and he just beats you down. And it's a bunch of quick time events, and it was, a lot of it was just frustrating.
Gotcha.
But like you said, I liked it. I'm not trying to bash it. I understand it's an older game and the plot was god awful. But I'm glad I finally finished it on my own, and I do love the game.
Yeah.
But I do prefer the co-op experience of 5. And to me, 4 and 5 are not very different, except that 4 doesn't let you walk and shoot, and 5 gives you a little bit more ammo. 4 still gives you a lot
So
of ammo.
you can
I mean,
walk and aim and shoot in 5?
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, so that
I believe so. Maybe you do stop.
that brings us to what really bothered me about Resident Evil 4 when I tried it this week. I played it for about an hour on Wednesday night maybe. And I'll tell you, I shouldn't have done it because in my memory that game was amazing. I played it on the Wii, and so I remember the Wiimote controls aiming at the screen worked really great. I remember thinking
the Wiimote lets you aim pretty nicely.
Right. And so now playing it even with the controller that I love in the PS4 controller, I was not having fun at all. I didn't like the way he moved. It reminded me of going back to play the old PlayStation 1 Resident Evil games, even though I know it's even better than those. It just felt that stiff and uncomfortable to move around. I didn't like it. And so I played through that first level and kind of got through that first area, that first little
and 1 more.
What's that?
I enjoyed Resident Evil 0 and 1 more, like as far as like how they played and
yeah. Well,
4 was just more frustrating.
4, I didn't remember how cheesy it was. So when it opens up and he's in the car with those guys and a little back and forth, the exchange, I was like, wow, this is a lot hokier than I remembered. It's kind of like the other Resident Evil games. So it's real cheesy, but it didn't bother me. I could deal with that. But then once I got control of Leon and started moving through and trying to aim to shoot, I was like, this is not fun. So I believe it or not, it's one of the few times that I thought, I wish I had my Wii still plugged in with this game. I'd rather play through this again with the actual aiming, the reticule I could aim. But anyway, I tried it for a little bit. I'm not going to go back and play it again. My memory of it is still a good memory. I remember some of the boss fights being good. Yeah. So I'm just going to leave it at that and know that I enjoyed it when I played it. I have no interest in playing it through again. So
and I enjoy. I have the same feelings as you back in the day when I was playing it with my cousin. There's a lot of nostalgia. I love the game, and I still do. And I'm really glad I beat it on my own. But at the same time, it was definitely. And the 360 is not even as improved as the PS4 version, so you actually played on a better version. I did boot up the PS4 version, and they let you aim with the right stick. On the 360, you can only aim with the left stick. So
once you hold
down
aim,
left trigger,
right?
Yeah, so you've got the gun up, and then you aim with your left stick, not the right.
It just feels so unnatural when I hold the aim button, and then all of a sudden he just kind of like locks his feet into place, and then the aiming starts going all over the place. I was like, oh, this is not fun. And you got like 8 of these guys coming at you, 2 of them with pitchforks behind you, and I was like, I want to play this because I like the setting, and the graphics to me were fine. It was kind of taking me back to the old experience, but man, it was not fun to actually battle. So I kind of stumbled my way through. I died several times on that first village. I was like, this isn't going to be fun. When this game actually gets difficult, this is not going to be fun. So
and it does get difficult. I definitely felt like it got really hard.
It does. So what else are you playing?
Yeah,
you finished Resident Evil 4. Congrats on that. What else are you playing this week? And you finished Mankind Divided. You mentioned that. But there's more.
Yeah, so I'm middle of Deus Ex. I've finished Resident Evil 4, so I'm probably going to be done for that for a long time.
Yeah.
And then I jumped back into NCAA football.
Yeah.
I'm in my season.
Yeah.
But I want to go off that just a little bit. And in fact, Eli was excited about this part of the show.
What?
We're going to talk about NCAA football real quick, okay? So before we recorded, because since Eli and I are hanging out in here and I just beat Resident Evil 4, I was like, hey, dude, I beat Resident Evil 4. Do you want to play some NCAA football? So he set it up for co-op.
Nice.
And so we picked Michigan, and this was not intentionally done, I promise you. He's flipping through the teams. He's like, who do you want to play? And I was like, nobody hard, because we're doing co-op, and I don't want to get blown out. And he went right through, and I'm not exaggerating or making this up. He hit Penn State.
Sure, yeah.
So
120 teams, and he happens to land there.
Yeah, because you flicked through it, and I was like, go to Penn State. So I was like, perfect. Let's beat down on Tim's favorite team. You didn't know that, did you? All right, so anyway, so I played quarterback. Eli was my running back and wide receiver, and we won 42-14. And Eli rushed for 180 yards, and I'm not just saying this. He did a great job running the ball. He did actually a better job running with my running back that I'm same guy I use in my season. He rushed for 180 yards. I haven't had a game over like 105 yards. So he ran
You're welcome,
really well.
by the way.
I mean, we destroyed Penn State. We embarrassed them. 42-14.
That is pretty bad.
And one of those touchdowns was just from me accidentally taking over the cornerback and not moving. So they just caught the ball and ran it 80 yards.
It was a mercy score.
But
Go Jake Butt.
Yeah, that's a
Jake
great
Butt.
name, right? Yeah.
It's a great name. You love that last name, don't you?
Butt.
Is Eli a big Michigan fan too?
Are you a big Michigan fan? What?
I'm like.
Can
a
you cut
quarter.
air? Because I'm about ready to rip his head off. Who do you like?
I like Michigan a half and a quarter, but I like Oregon just a quarter.
I don't even know what
Wow,
that means.
that's an interesting
I
split.
like
Yeah.
Oregon like not a half, like a quarter.
But you've got a
Oh,
Florida
so-
Gators shirt on.
So you
there.
have,
do you have any Gators
You have
fans
like
then?
one heart. You have one heart, and 3/4 of your heart loves Michigan, and the other fourth loves Oregon. Oh, that's not bad.
Yeah,
I'm okay with that.
that's pretty good.
Some of it loves.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Well, what about Florida?
Yeah,
I know you got a
lots of-
Gators shirt on, and you guys live in Florida. Why not the Gators?
Ian's team is, well, he likes Michigan too, but he likes the Gators. He
Okay.
played football for the Land O'Lakes Gators for 4 years, and Eli's played with them for 3.
Okay.
And
Oh,
so I
crushed
coached
my
them,
hand.
so I bought a lot of Gator shirts. I never liked the Gators, but now we're Gators fans.
Nice.
Tell them about when I crushed my hand.
Okay, that's dramatic.
No.
You can put your headphones back on, by the way. That was it. We rubbed it in. We took and destroyed Penn State. We embarrassed them. But Tim's used to that.
I am.
So, anyway, so I was playing NCAA football. I'm going to play the season. I'm so hyped
Yeah.
for college football. I cannot even tell
me
you.
too.
You know, like
yeah,
we
I
talked about
didn't
a few
get to
weeks
watch
ago.
many of the games last night because last night was the start of the season. But I know that tomorrow, we're recording on Friday, so Saturday I'm
Yeah.
planning on watching a good amount. So, yeah,
Tennessee
I'm
almost
very excited.
lost. So I can tell the season's probably going to be pretty special. I don't think there's any clear cut, like, this is the number one team, nobody's going to beat them. I think there's going to be a lot of upsets this year.
Now remind me
So-
who they almost lost to again.
App State.
That's right.
I don't know that college.
Let's see. I could be misremembering. Remind me who it was that Appalachian State beat a few years back that was really highly ranked. Who was that?
Okay. Do you know how to block Tim on Facebook? Do you know how to do this?
That was one of the
You wanna
greatest
punch
moments.
Tim in the
ever.
gut. That was
And it was-
I know understand that we are a gaming podcast
Yeah.
predominantly,
Yeah.
but that was one of the most heartbreaking days of my life because that was a Michigan team that was, I believe, number 4 in the nation.
Yep.
Predicted by many to win it all. I mean, we were loaded
Yeah.
with talent.
Yep.
And so I'm hyped. We've got this cupcake coming into the big house.
What's a
Yep.
cupcake?
Well, it's just something you eat. And I just cried.
Yeah, that was
I
it
couldn't
was a
believe it
rough
happened.
ending too. Yeah, and most people couldn't believe it happened. Yeah, that's painful. And
Yeah.
then of course, like talking with family and friends and coworkers after a loss like that is never easy because they're going to be like, "Hey,
No,
what happened to
This
Michigan?"
is me all. Yeah, I know. It's always that, like, what happened to your team?
Yeah.
You know what
What did you
happened.
do?
Now
Were
shut
you
up.
there? Did you make a bad decision?
You know what the worst was when I was younger? I was, I'm a diehard Michigan fan, so I always had jerseys and shirts and stuff like that. And I remember one time I was at the mall, and I knew Michigan had lost, but I still loved them, and I was wearing their jersey to support them, even though they had lost that Saturday that I was at the mall. And some guy, like, points at me and says out loud, like, they lost today. Why would you wear that? Like, oh, yeah, I should just stop liking my team because they lost once.
Yeah.
Freaking losers.
Yeah. People say the most annoying things, trying to be funny or relate to you in some way, and it's like, no, I want to punch you now. Thank you for saying that.
Tell them about when I sacked their team like 15 times.
He sacked the Penn State quarterback like 15 times.
Oh, nice.
Eli ignored my defensive calls. I'm the defensive coordinator. And so even though I would call a no blitz,
He blitzed every time.
Eli firmly believes in a all out blitz.
Yeah.
So he was sending my boy Jabril Peppers every 5 seconds.
So he knows that if you don't pressure that
Mostly
QB, you're not
Charlton
going to be
makes
successful. He
sense.
knows that. That's a smart boy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Your QB is not very good, by the way, in that game.
Yeah.
Very
They
terrible.
suck.
Yeah.
Horrible.
Okay, you're
It's
yelling.
true. It's true. I would be mad, but you're right. He's not very good. Yeah.
So one last thing, and then you can take over and talk about what you're doing. I've ignored Metal Gear Solid 5 all week.
So sad.
And I'm going to be honest with you, I'm upset about that because I'm trying to like stick to this agenda and be like, finish Deus Ex. And then I understand that I let myself veer off for Resident Evil, but I wanted to beat Resident Evil 4.
And now it's done.
And
That's
that
on the
was-
shelf. You can move on.
I thought that was going to be a quicker thing.
Yeah.
Not that it took forever, but it took me 8 hours. And I thought it was going to be like, oh, I'm like 2 or 3 hours away. No, I'm not. So I'd like to get back to Metal Gear Solid 5. But I have to say, finding out that it's like 50 missions long and I'm only on mission 7, kind of a drag. But
Well, keep in mind that a lot of those missions are skippable. So
Oh, okay. But I had so much fun with it. That's why I keep
Yeah.
thinking about it. I'm like, dude, don't get away from it too far because you might lose how you were playing it. Because I was actually playing it pretty good. I'm not saying I was flawless. There's times where I got caught, but I was doing stealth pretty well. So
Nice.
I don't want to lose that. So I definitely want to get back into that this week. I'll probably focus on Deus Ex and Metal Gear Solid 5. And hopefully next week, those are the 2 games I'll be talking about.
nice. Well, speaking of stealth, I have been playing a lot of Deus Ex Human Revolution, and I've been stealthing my way through that game. Really only killing or knocking guys out when I have to. To me, like there's something really a good feeling about being able to get through all the guards and all the enemies without triggering any kind of alarm or without being spotted.
Mm-hmm.
I like that. And the combat in Human Revolution, I'll be totally honest, not that great. So I like the.
It's not satisfying.
It's not that satisfying. It's not bad. There's plenty of games out there that are worse, but it's not amazing. So anyway, I'm having fun with the game, though. I like the setting. I just moved to the next area out of Detroit into, what's it called, Hangsha or something like that.
Yeah.
So I'm in that new area there, running some missions. I've done a bunch of side stuff, which has been fun. I'm not doing everything, but I'm going to try to take your advice and upgrade that Typhoon weapon, which I still haven't even used yet.
Well, only do that if you're going to, if you know you're gonna. Here's the thing: are you playing the director's cut or the regular version?
Whatever was free on the 360. I think it's the regular version.
Probably the regular version. Here's the thing: whenever you fight the bosses in the regular version, you have to fight them with combat. So you would need the Typhoon. That does help.
Right.
If you were playing the director's cut like me, it kind of respects you as a stealth player and says, hey, if you want to take down these bosses with stealth, you can now do that.
Now, I read about this, so tell me if this is right. The first bad guy is, I already forget his name. It's not Hanson, it's Hancock or something. I don't know, something with the H. And so I'm fighting this first bad guy, and I actually took him down pretty quick, considering the fact that I've been doing mostly stealth. I basically just shocked him with my stun gun, ran behind him, picked up a red barrel, threw it at him. It blew up, and that really hurt him. And then I tossed a grenade at his feet. That blew up and killed him. So it was real fast. It was really, really easy. But I was reading, because I have referenced a guide a couple times when I'm in the open area, and I don't want to waste a bunch of time on this game. I want to get to Mankind Divided, so I'm trying to just move through the game relatively quickly. And so one of the things the guide said about that boss battle was, I think maybe it was talking about the director's cut, so correct me if I'm wrong, but they said one of the options is there's some rooms and security rooms you can go in and hack the computers and activate certain turrets that then you can use those to defeat the guy. You don't have to engage him at all.
That's director's cut.
Okay, that's what that is. Okay.
See, that's what I loved about, I don't want to get off what you're talking about, but just to add on to it, because you're playing it more stealthy.
I am, yeah.
And that's what's better about the director's cut is it allows you to play the entire game because you're going to run into probably 3 or 4 more boss battles.
Yeah.
And in the original version, you were forced to run and gun kind of or take cover or do what you did.
Yeah.
But in the director's cut, like one of the boss battles, I didn't even fight the guy at all. I just dropped below him and I think I shot him once and he was dead. Like,
Nice.
it wasn't like
Nice.
an all-out battle. I stealthed all the way to where he was. He didn't know where I was. Dropped behind him, shot him, and he was dead.
Nice. Yeah, so I'm enjoying it, and even though it's not a game where I would say the combat excels, I think it excels in a lot of ways, and the combat's just, it's so-so. Is that fair, do you think, to say? I think the combat's so-so. I don't think it's bad. I mean,
I think when it released, it had more of like a Mass Effect vibe to me. One of the things that I really liked about it, I'm talking about the original Mass Effect, not Mass Effect 2 or 3.
Okay.
The new one would be more in line with Mass Effect 2 and 3. But it suffers a little bit with the shooting. And we already talked about when I talked about the game, the cover-based mechanics. They're not terrible, but they're not great.
Yeah.
Mankind Divided fixes it.
Yeah.
Because it allows you to push the left stick down, and then you go against the wall, and then you see like the pattern to where you can move by just hitting X. Oh, good, Eli's back. So Mankind Divided fixed it, but Human Revelations is a great game that has flaws, but I loved it to death.
I'm just glad that when
Hopefully
that door
you'll
opened
finish it.
behind you, there wasn't nudity that followed. So I'm just relieved.
Tim
But
is
there was
excited
clothes.
you're wearing clothes. That's a good reaction.
All right, so I'm enjoying Human Revolution. That's kind of the main story game that I'm working through. I'm really liking that game. And I must admit, there are two games that I had been playing that I have, for all intents and purposes, kind of given up on.
Wait, I'm serious. Someone's making me.
And that is, the first one is No Man's Sky. I'm kind of letting No Man's Sky go. I'm releasing it to let it float away. And
Tim, I never
I'll-
asked you, and I was going to ask you, did you think about asking for a refund, or did you say, no, I'm okay with this purchase and I don't want to do that?
I'm okay with the purchase, number one, but then
You know what I'm
when
talking about, right?
When it did cross my mind, it turns out you have to have played it for you can only have played it for a certain number of hours and earned a certain number of trophies for it to be a valid refund. So the fact that I've played it for probably 25 hours total, something like that, I've played it for a long time, I wouldn't get a refund for it unless I'm misunderstanding the rules. So, yeah. Yeah. So anyway, I'm kind of letting that one go. I did not finish the story in it, but I would make an argument that there's not really a story to it. I just kind of got my fix of discovering, exploring, scanning new creatures and plants, and get the feeling of flying and doing a little bit of battling, and I like it. It's one of those games that I'll remember it. Like, it's a remarkable game for a lot of reasons, but it's also a very repetitive and at times disappointing game for a lot of reasons too. So I won't call it bad because I honestly had fun with the 20-25 hours that I spent with it, but I think I'm done. I don't think I have no interest in getting to the center of the universe. I don't want to keep doing that loop. So like I said last week, if my kids really want to get back into it, or if for some reason I'm in between games and I just feel that itch to go out and explore, I could fire it back up. But I think I got my money's worth. I spent a lot of time in it, enjoyed it. It gave me that feeling of awe when I fired it up and when I traveled around. So I liked it, but I didn't love it.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. It's like the game, and again, our group is, there's only 140 members, so it's not like we represent all of the internet and all of the world.
But we are pretty smart as a group.
We are. But that game, it was crazy because everybody who bought it day one, I didn't hear, except for me, but I didn't pay for it. I didn't hear anybody really complain about the game. Right. Most people had positive feedback. They were really excited about it. They didn't like everything. There were certain things that were like, oh, the gameplay is lacking, but it's doing what I thought it was going to do, and I like it. And then all of a sudden, it's like this switch flipped. And 2 weeks later, everybody who was saying that they loved it was either filing for a refund or trading it in, or just basically had, like, in a way, a negative attitude towards the game. It wasn't just well, I'm kind of sick of it, I got my money's worth type thing, because,
Bless you.
Bless you. It wasn't one of those, like, well, I've got my fill, I liked it, but I'm done with it. It was like, I'm mad at this game. Like,
well, let me throw out an
switch.
idea and see what you think about this. I feel like a good number of people were legitimately angry because the game hit this crash mode where it would just crash nonstop on people. And it did crash on me probably 5 or 6 times, but it was never at a critical moment, and it wasn't frequent enough that it affected my experience. But I know others, their experience was ruined because of all the crashes. I'm sure you've heard about those.
Yeah.
And so when others heard about that, whether or not it made them angry or they cared about it, and once they learned that people were getting refunds for this game because of the technical struggles, then all of a sudden they were like, hey, I played it for a little while and I don't have anything against it. I could buy it again when it's on sale, but I could get full price back and spend it on something else and come back to this game at some point. I think there are plenty of people, maybe not from our group, but maybe, who took advantage of the opportunity to get some money back on a game. Whether or not they hated it doesn't matter. You know, they had a chance to get money back. I think if you would have told me, or if Sony would have told me, you can get a full refund for this game if you want. You know, it's going to be removed from your hard drive. You won't own it anymore, but you'll get a full refund. At this point, I would take it because I got my experience out of it. And if I play it again, I'd be willing to buy it when it's on some kind of Christmas sale, you know, for $20 or whatever. But anyway, that refund was not available to me, so it didn't really cross my mind.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
As long as you got what you wanted out of it, I'm happy. I'm glad you didn't spend $60 and then we're like, this is a crap game, you know. It wasn't
looking
what
back on it.
a
Looking
lot
back
of
on it
people
now,
wanted.
if I had known what I know now, I may have, you know, future Tim,
Waited.
present Tim would have told past Tim, wait till it's 40 or less. It's worth 40 for the experience that I had and how much I enjoyed it. 40 would have been the sweet spot. But I'm not mad that I spent 60. I've had way worse experiences for $60. So there you go. There's another game that I'm kind of giving up on right now, and this is going to disappoint our buddy Michael McClendon. So sorry, Mike, about this one, but I think I'm ready to give up on Axiom Verge. That game has a frustrating amount of backtracking and so little guidance on where to go. And you might make the argument that's how old school Metroid games and Castlevania games were. Okay, but those were actually fun to traverse from point A all the way to point Z in some cases, to go all the way back to those environments. I'm not having that much fun backtracking through these environments in Axiom Verge. Like in something like Ori, when you had to backtrack a ton for some of those areas, I actually really enjoyed that because it was really pretty and the gameplay just felt so perfect. But with Axiom Verge, I'm just not enjoying the environments or the gameplay enough to want to try. I mean, it can literally take 20, 30 minutes to get from one area to where you need to go next. I just got this item that now unlocks a door I couldn't get through way over here, and I literally just set the Vita down and look at it. Like, I have to travel all the way there to continue this game?
Ori and the Blind Forest was like that, too.
Yes,
I'm not saying they did it a lot, but they even had to fix it.
Yeah, it was like that. But it wasn't as bad to traverse that. Like, to me, it was a more enjoyable experience with Ori. Even though it was still frustrating, it was a little more enjoyable than Axiom Verge is. So, I don't know. I don't know that I'll totally give up on it, never come back to it, but for right now, I have no interest in playing it. I'd rather play Human Revolution or NCAA 14. I am closing in on the end of my first season in my dynasty. I've got a good recruiting class coming in. I'm just having a blast with that game. I love.
You know, that's a video game if you've got a good recruiting class going to Penn State.
I know. They don't have any options to lie to them about the sanctions or anything like that. Like, it's just, yeah. But I love that game. I love the RPG elements of recruiting your team and upgrading your coaches. You earn extra recruiting skills or even gameplay skills. I like seeing the players progress. I really like in the offseason when you can swap their positions. You discover that, you know, this third string tight end would actually be an amazing starting fullback. So you move them over to that position. So I love all that kind of stuff. It's got very much got an RPG element to it that I...
Sounds like a nightmare for me.
Yeah, I'm really enjoying it. Wait, what was that?
I just said that sounds like my own personal nightmare.
Oh, it's so fun. So fun.
I manage people at work. I don't want to manage my football team.
I'm having fun with it, though. I'm really enjoying that. And I like putting on the show like The Office or listening to some stand-up comedy or some podcasts while I play through some NCAA. So that's been really relaxing this past week doing that. And I've also got back into Rocket League a little bit. We've had some people calling us out for talking about a tournament but not setting one up yet. So we do need to get one of those going. It's just scheduling that. It's so challenging.
I cut my PS Plus, so it's either Xbox Live or... I'm out.
You didn't cut your PS Plus.
Yeah, I did.
You did not.
I made a statement to Sony.
Yeah, they heard you loud and clear. All right, so NCAA 14. I'm playing a little Rocket League. My buddy Jake has gotten me to try out some Madden Mobile, which is actually a surprisingly fun phone game with Madden. Remember Ultimate Team on Madden, where you collect the cards and upgrade your team?
Mm-hmm.
It's
that's
essentially
a nice
that,
shot right
but
there.
it's on your phone, and then you can actually play the real Madden game. I don't love the way it controls on the phone, like the touchscreen controls, but it's not bad, and it kind of gives me that NFL football side of things, that fix. So it's okay. I've played that a little bit. Don't know if I'll play it much more, but that's what I've been doing recently is a lot of football and then working my way through Human Revolution, which so far I'm loving. And the last one that I'll mention, I just bought this on sale, and I am playing The Witness. I'm finally playing The Witness. And I don't know if you tried it yet, but I bought it this week, and it's exactly what everyone talked about it being. It's this kind of 3D, kind of first-person adventure type of a thing, but it's really just puzzles. So it's not really an adventure. So you go from puzzle to puzzle, and it looks very much like Firewatch in terms of the visuals. So as you walk around through the forest, I know, as you walk around through the forest and the way the rocks look and the way the environments look, it's very colorful and very stylized. But it's all puzzles. It's all line puzzles so far. I've played it for about 2.5 hours. And the line puzzles get tough. It is interesting the way they kind of build on each thing they teach you. So they teach you one element of the line puzzle, and then the next puzzle is that, plus it's a little more complicated. So the design is very smart in those terms. But it's a puzzle game. I mean, my interest in that type of a game is up and down. You know, sometimes I'm really into it and I want to play it, and sometimes I'm like, I have no interest in a puzzle game. So it is what it is. I can see why people like it. I have not yet seen why people love it so much. So anyway, there you go.
Isn't there supposed to be like a story to it though, or is it literally just?
I don't know. There's been zero. I mean, you start right away, kind of.
Maybe not a story, but maybe there's like this ultimate point to why you're unlocking all these puzzles or whatever.
I've heard that, and I've hit a couple areas already where there's clearly something that's been happening. I found some drawings that were interesting, and just kind of some remnants of, hey, there was a person here and they were doing something, and I'm trying to figure out what that was. So there's a little bit of that, but there's zero dialogue, nothing to read so far. I'm just it's kind of interesting. You solve a puzzle and then you follow the cable that lights up. You follow that to the next puzzle because you just unlocked a new area. So it's really good design, but is it a masterpiece? I don't know yet. I'll let you know. So there you go.
Well, I'm more interested in that Republic game. I'll give it a shot when I have time. I also bought, and I don't know if you know this, but I bought Michonne. So I'd like to play that too, the 3-episode The Walking Dead Telltale game. So I'd like to get into that too. So now that I'm done with Resident Evil 4, I feel like I have a little more freedom to like do something.
I'm going to play Michonne too. I'm excited about that because the Walking Dead TV season should be starting up here in about a month, I'm guessing. So as we get closer to that coming back on, there was a big cliffhanger last season. And so as they get closer to that, I'll fire up Michonne to give that a try. Because I do like The Walking Dead. I pretty much enjoy everything about The Walking Dead. I've enjoyed what I've read of the comics, very little, but I've enjoyed what I've read, and I've enjoyed the show, even though people like to criticize it. I really like it, and all of
It's a good show. I just got
to
the point where I don't know what it was. I just stopped watching it. I'm in season 5.
Is it too scary for you?
It is. Like Resident Evil.
Is that what it is?
That's the real reason I don't like Resident Evil 4. It's too scary.
It's too scary.
It is.
All right, so let's talk about some news. You've heard a lot from us already, and we've used up most of our show to talk about us because we're self-centered. That's what we do.
That's what we do.
And so let's talk about.
We don't want
to
talk about Nintendo though. The entire time.
No, I'm not going to move through these kind of quickly. I'll let you kind of decide if you want to interrupt and chat about these. This is worth noting because we do have some Nintendo gamers in our group, including us to some extent. But there was a big Nintendo Direct, and unfortunately for Nintendo fans, this Direct had zero to do with the new NX or possibly Focus console at all. It had everything to do with 3DS and a few little bits and pieces about the Wii U, believe it or not. So here are some of the highlights of the announcements they made. A few games they announced, like Yoshi's Woolly World is coming over, that Wii U game. It's getting completely ported over, and all their levels are included. So that's interesting. I've heard that's a beautiful game. I've never played that one, so I want to try that.
It is. It's a nice game. That was the one I was playing with Emily back in around Christmas time.
Yeah. Yeah, so I'm still in the process of considering whether or not I want to get my boys each their own 2DS, maybe even a 3DS or something like that. So that'd be a great one for us to have for them to share.
Still, I say wait it out until
Yeah.
September 20th
I need
or
to
whatever it
wait
is.
a little bit longer. Yep.
We'll find out what NX is. If it's handheld, then you may be able to just. Don't you have a 3DS? You might just be able to give yours away.
Right, and get the NX for myself.
To your kids.
So Woolly World comes out on February 3rd, so we have plenty of time for that. They announced a new Mario sports game, which actually sounds interesting. It's called Mario Sports Superstars, and Nintendo is very clear. This is not 5 mini games. It's not 5 sport mini games. It's 5 full Mario sports, according to Nintendo. And that's soccer, tennis, baseball, golf, and of course everyone's favorite, horse racing. And so those those are the 5 sports that they included. I'm all about tennis. Mario Tennis is always fun. Mario Golf is a blast. And
that soccer game, they did like a Mario Striker.
Yeah, I never played that one. Was that GameCube? I don't think I ever played that one. I feel like that
they had it on the
was
Wii.
it Wii? Okay.
Because I remember using.
Oh, Tank Troopers. It looks kind of like Battle Tanks. It's coming out. It's a multiplayer game for 3DS. No one cares. Pikmin, though. Pikmin, it's a 2D Pikmin. It looks very stylized, very interesting. That's coming in 2017 for the 3DS. That one has my attention.
I really liked the Pikmin game on the Wii U.
Yeah.
I never played a Pikmin game. Those don't look like games that interested me.
Yeah.
But I got hooked on it with my daughter, Emily, and we just would play it all the time together. We never beat it.
Yeah,
because
those games are cool. Those games are they got a lot of charm, a lot of character to them, and
it was way better than I thought it would.
Yeah, and it's a decent strategy title. Like Pikmin's not bad. Pikmin's not bad. And then they also said that Pikmin 4 is on its way for the Wii U, which is mind-boggling to me. Why?
Well, it's probably going to be another one like Breath of the Wild, where it's like we're on the Wii U and the NX.
Yeah. So that's coming. So it's nice to hear that Nintendo is actually making games, because I feel like it's been forever since we've heard about an actual Nintendo product in the works. So it's just nice to hear that they're making some stuff. Now here's an exciting one to me at first, and then it's not so exciting once I learn more about it. Super Mario Maker is coming to the 3DS on December 2nd, just in time for Christmas. Probably should come out a week or two earlier if they could, but whatever. December 2nd, Super Mario Maker 3DS. That's fantastic. There's going to be 100 built-in levels. You can build. You can, of course, build your own levels. You can share them locally or via Street Pass, but not online. What? Why? I don't understand this. I don't understand. Like, yeah, you can make all these levels and you can hold your DSs together, and if you rub them the right way, they'll share levels, but you can't share online. You don't want to do that. Yeah, I just don't understand it. I don't understand Nintendo sometimes.
Please understand.
I just don't get it. I mean, maybe you know something I don't know. Why would they do this? One of the most popular Wii U games and one of the biggest draws to it is you can play the best levels made by other users around the globe.
I think that's what made it so popular.
Why not internet?
That community.
I don't get it, man. I don't get it. I mean, maybe certain stores like a GameStop or a Best Buy will have certain things where, hey, if you come, you can Street Pass some of our top levels or something like that. So there's going to be some workarounds, I'm sure. But what a mind-boggling decision. I don't get it. I don't know if it's some weird attempt to protect the children again or whatever, but that just seems so weird to me that they would have.
Well, the next announcement is, I feel the same way about it as well.
What, the Skyward Sword?
Yeah, when I saw it, I was originally excited. I didn't expect a remaster, and I don't think it needs a remaster because we've already gotten Wind Waker and Twilight Princess.
So Skyward Sword, just for those of you who are listening and don't know what we're talking about, Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword, the last major Wii game that was released before the Wii U. It got a 10 out of 10 from IGN. That is now coming. It's now on the Wii U. You can download it. It's not upgraded at all. It's the Wii version of that game, but it's available for download.
Fine, but why not make it? Why can't you play the game with a gamepad? Why not take the time to allow us to choose? Like, hey, you can either use your Wiimotes and play it how we originally designed it, or we eliminate those controls and allow you to play it like a Zelda game.
Right. I wish they would.
Maybe it's technically impossible unless you redo everything, but I don't think it is. And so it's a no-buy for me because I was actually, when I saw it originally, I was like, if I can play this on my pad or with my Pro controller, I'm going to buy it right now. And once I saw it's the exact same port, and you have to use the Wiimotes. I was like, no, I'm not gonna do it.
That's one Zelda game that I've never played at all. Like, not even for a minute. Never played that game at all.
I think I played like 2 hours of it, but I'm a hardcore Zelda fan.
Yeah, you are. You
I've
finish
already beaten
when it comes to Zelda.
Ocarina
You finish
of
what you
Time.
start. I'll tell you that right now.
I already beat Ocarina of Time this year, and then I got really far into A Link.
Yeah, you
Link
conquered
and
that. You
something's
conquered
back.
that title screen like a boss.
Yeah.
All right. Let's talk about the other big announcement that's not
New
from
Game
Nintendo,
Plus.
because Nintendo did make a few other announcements, including some DLC for Hyrule Warriors Legends and a couple Street Pass games that are coming for free.
Nobody cares.
You can check that out if you want to on your own. Just go to GameSpot or IGN or somewhere like that, and you can find those details there. So Nintendo Direct, mixed results, a few interesting announcements, but overall everyone still just wants to learn about the NX. The other big announcement this week, at least from my perspective, and it's actually leaked info, and that is that the Assassin's Creed Ezio collection is all but confirmed at this point to be coming out this holiday season. And so if I am understanding correctly, that would be Assassin's Creed 2, Brotherhood, and Revelations? Is that right?
The Ezio trilogy is, like you said, not confirmed, but it seems like it's definitely coming.
And it's a great
excited.
holding spot for the AC game that's not coming out from Ubisoft this year. So it makes sense. And I know they've got Watch Dogs 2, but this is a good way to keep people thinking about Assassin's Creed and remembering what made those games great. And 2 is highly considered to be one of the best ever. So
you could have brought Rogue
I know.
to Xbox One and PS4.
I know.
I do not understand that. Yeah. I have it on PC, but honestly, it doesn't even run that great on PC. I mean, it looks better than when I had it on the 360, but why not just bring it to the Xbox One and PS4?
Just make it backwards compatible. That's all I want. Just make it backwards compatible.
Yeah, I would even take that. I would buy it digitally or find it a hard copy cheap.
I've got a hard copy. It's actually in my
Xbox.
360. Now that my 360 is being used a little bit recently for Human Revolution and for NCAA. So I've got Rogue in there. And if I can complete Human Revolution in a decent amount of time here before some other things come out that I want to play, I really want to jump back into an Assassin's Creed game. I love those games. I know they get crapped on all the time by people like AC3, for example, and Unity. A lot of people just dog these games, and I still really enjoyed them. Like, I loved the American Revolution setting. Black Flag was amazing. Unity was good, even though it had some drawbacks, and then Syndicate was the best of all of them. So, I mean, I love that series, and so I'm looking forward to playing Rogue when I get a chance. So, anyway, for those of you who like Assassin's Creed, you may not get a new experience this holiday season, but it sounds like, unless these leaks are completely wrong, you may get a collection of sorts for your Xbox One, PS4 this fall.
For me personally, I'm a big fan of the series, so I know I'm going to get it day one. But it is coming out at a bad time. I mean, releasing it in November, I would have preferred that they release this either in December
or January even would have been a great
or
time.
January because you've got Dishonored 2, Watch Dogs 2, Final Fantasy 15 got moved.
Well, those first two are the big ones because those are the kind of stealth action open world adventure games that Assassin's
Call of
Creed,
Duty.
Yeah.
I mean, November is loaded.
Right, it is.
So saying, hey, come play our 3 games you've probably already played before, or if you haven't, you're probably not that interested, come play them.
Yeah. You know what I would love?
I'm not gonna have time.
Other than having Rogue brought over to the new systems, I would also love having the original Assassin's Creed updated with modern gameplay mechanics that they introduced with games like Syndicate. And going back to that setting with Altair, I loved that setting, and he is a cool character and it has an interesting story. That game could be a fun experience again with, not even updated visuals as much as just the gameplay mechanics, but that's not going to happen.
I personally don't think there's ever been a bad Assassin's Creed game.
I agree with that.
Of course, I'm only talking about the main
right.
Assassin's Creed game. I'm not talking about mobile
or Chronicles
or handhelds or anything like that. Yeah. There's not been one that I've played that I didn't like.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Altair was another good one. The first one was a good one.
Now that we're talking about it, I want to go play Rogue, so I don't know why I'm waiting. I got to wrap up Human Revolution. I got to get through that, and I'm enjoying that too, but I want to get to Rogue. So, all right, so we're running out of time here, but I do want to kind of recap the summer. Today is September 2nd, so we have, I know technically fall doesn't start for a couple more weeks, But it feels like fall. Football's starting. Kids are back in school. We're talking about, right around the corner are the big releases for the holiday season. So it feels like the fall. So looking back on this summer, I wanted to get from you, I'll give you a few minutes to think about it too, and unless you already have. Think about our personal favorites, but I wanted to read you a list of Metacritic's top 10 and get your reaction to some of these. Some of them I've never heard of. Most of them I've never heard of.
Are you talking about my favorites for that released in the summer, or just what I played during the summer?
Yes. No, it doesn't. It doesn't matter if you played it for the first time this summer. It has to have released between. This is for June 1st through August 31st. So it was released in this 3-month window of what most of us consider to be the summertime. So this probably isn't going to surprise you, but I'll go from number 10 up to number 1. The number 10 game on Metacritic across all platforms was the Banner Saga 2 at an 84 Metacritic. My only experience with that series is I played the Banner Saga and found it to be very sad and lots of text, a little bit boring, but it was cool. I liked the style and I liked the lore that they were setting up, but the battles themselves just didn't hook me, and I found the overall vibe to be kind of a bummer. But some people love the Banner Saga.
Too much reading for me. You guys know how much I hate to read. I actually liked the combat. I liked everything that I'd seen so far. But when I had to keep going, okay, can we just get to the gameplay? It got old.
Yeah. So Banner Saga 2 has an 84. That's on PS4, Xbox One, and PC. There's 4 games tied with an 84 Metacritic average. The next one is Madden NFL 17. So Madden 17, of course, out on all the major platforms, except for PC, apparently. Is it not on PC?
I don't think so.
So Madden 17, of course, just like every year, everyone's like, oh, this one's better than last year's. And, we've talked about this before, but, Madden just isn't doing it for me like a 4-year-old NCAA game is. So what can you do? Abzu. This is a game right up your alley, I think. This came out this summer on the PS4 and PC. Everyone's calling it like Journey Underwater. I'm like, good. That's what Journey needed, was to slow down a little bit. Oh gosh. Yeah. So, Abzu.
You know what's funny though? I'll actually play it. I gave Journey a legit shot.
Yeah.
I paid for it and I gave it a shot.
Well, you played it all the way through, right?
I mock it now because I feel like, even though I don't believe in things being overrated, because I'm like, if people love them, then they love them. Yeah. But I do feel like that game. Never mind. Anyway,
our buddy Sasan sums it up in some hilarious ways. I won't give it away. But
we can't do it because then we would be rated mature,
right?
And probably.
But his summary of it, I leaned back in my chair and laughed when I read his recap of what Journey was all about. It was pretty great. So, all right,
he actually helped me understand it more.
Yeah, gave you new insight. Yeah,
he's like, Derek, let's simplfa it.
Deus Ex: Mankind Divided is at an 84 Metacritic average, which is very impressive. To have an 84 average, that's great. So I'm excited for that. Quadrilateral Cowboy, it's a PC game, is at an 85 average. I'm just going to move right past that. That can't be real.
I have no idea what that
is. You know what? I think it has to do with hacking. I think it's one of those games where you're like a program and you're hacking in, so it sounds like a puzzle game, but it's also speed based, and you feel like you're actually hacking, like doing coding and stuff. But it's gamified somehow. I don't know. So the concept's like, I could see people liking that. I have no interest, but that's cool. It sounds unique. So there you go. And it doesn't sound like a complete DFC game. It actually sounds like a pretty intense game for people who know what they're doing. So anyway. Monster Hunter Generations for the 3DS at an 85 average. That came out this summer as well. Have not played that one, but people like it. Rhythm Heaven Megamix for the 3DS. Another rhythm game. Skipped it. Okay. Guilty Gear. How do you say this one? Guilty Gear XRD. Is that Exerd? Guilty Gear Exerd?
It's probably just XRD.
Guilty Gear, well, because it looks like
but I
third,
do think it's weird that it's like Crossroad? Guilty Gear Crossroad?
Maybe. And then Revelator with dashes on either side of it. So weird titles.
Didn't buy it because of the name.
That's got an 86 average. And then the number 2 game is Odin Sphere Leaf Thracer. Leaf Thracer. I don't know what I'm doing. Odin Sphere is an 87. That's an old school RPG, isn't it? I'm pretty sure that's an RPG game.
Yeah, it's the PS2 version, I think. Like redone, kind of remastered.
That's Atlas, right?
Yeah.
I'm pretty
and
sure that was a
so it came
Vanillaware
to
developed
PS3,
Atlas published. So.
PS4, and Vita. I was actually gonna buy it. I was
Yeah.
considering buying it today for the PS4 because I knew it was on sale. No, the sale is on the PS3 version.
Oh, boo!
Not the PS4.
Oh, and it's
version.
so you couldn't play it on PS4 or Vita. That's too bad.
No.
Well, you sold
So I
your
was like,
you
nope.
sold your Vita, so right?
I did the right thing.
Okay. And lastly, the game that everyone is drooling over and falling over themselves to give the game of the year already is Inside, which is now out for the Xbox One, PC, and PS4. And can I just say something about Inside? I played this game the weekend that it came out. I enjoyed it. I've already talked about how I liked it a lot. It is being completely overhyped and overrated. You guys, it's a solid game. If you liked Limbo, you'll enjoy it. It's a creepy atmosphere.
Limbo got this type
It
of
is.
love.
It is not the perfect game. It's way too short. I thought the puzzles were actually too easy. I don't know. I don't think it's that amazing. It's very unique.
Do you think
it deserves a lot? It deserves to be praised as a great game. It deserves.
Yeah.
I hope they make money on it because it's a solid developmental effort. It is not the game of the year. I wouldn't even call it the game of the summer for me personally. I liked it.
But let me ask you
come on.
this. Just a quick question. I don't want to deviate too much because we're already, running a little late.
Yeah.
But do you think, and this is just speculation, that a lot of these games media people will praise games like this and Journey and stuff like that because of the simplicity and the fact that they're short? Because I hear them all the time. Now, this is where I'm getting this from. I hear them all the time when you listen to any podcast on IGN, GameSpot, any of them. When they start talking about video games, they all say the same thing. I just don't have time. I can't invest in this. And it almost feels like, oh, you made a halfway decent 3-hour game that I can say I beat? Game of the year. Because I actually was able to finish it. Oh, The Witcher?
I don't know. That's a valid
Too
thought.
much time.
I mean, it really is a valid thought. I just don't know if there's legitimately a
Just
chance
feels like that way
games
with, like,
media,
games like
maybe
Abzu
Maybe.
and what's this one we're talking about? Inside that I'll never play.
Yeah.
They're not my type of game, so obviously I'm not going to fully grasp them. They are your type of game.
They are, and
I
it is.
still
It does give you a feeling of. I mean, it gives you like you have emotions throughout that game. Some of the settings that you go into, and you kind of realize the types of things that are happening and how disturbing and messed up it is. Like, there's some interesting stuff, and it makes you go like, "Whoa, that's crazy." But gosh, it's not game of the year. I'm sorry, it's not. But it's good. It is good.
Well,
So let's
some
talk
people
about
like the twist.
If we have these big opinions about games from the summer, what are our games of the year? So give me your top, 2, 3, 4 games from this summer so far.
I really only have
finished
two.
all of them, but yeah, okay.
I only have two. This year we've talked about it. Overall, this whole year has not been that great.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like, when speaking of college football, sometimes you get in these divisions in college where the top 2 teams are freaking amazing. They're national title contenders, national championship contenders, and then the rest suck, right? And I kind of feel like that's what this year's been. Yeah, there's a few quality games, but overall, I was even trying to make a top 10 list, and I couldn't even come up with 10 new games that I liked. And you know me, I play everything.
I fooled myself, by the way, going off that thought. I fooled myself into thinking it's been an amazing year of games, but my problem is I've been playing a lot of games that came out before this year. So for some reason, I just have this feeling of what a great year for gaming. But no, I'm really combining some backlog games with some, replaying some stuff that I love, some major DLC for games like The Witcher 3. And then I'm like, you know what? This year actually hasn't had that many amazing marquee releases. Compared to, last year was stunning. This year is nowhere close.
No, probably 80% of the games I've completed this year are all 2015 and earlier.
Yeah.
But to give you my two, obviously Deus Ex Mankind Divided is tied with Dark Souls 3 for my game of the year. So those are the two games that I'm talking about that to me they didn't let me down in any way. And in fact, in some ways, they went above what I expected, especially Dark Souls 3. I didn't even think I would get past the first couple bosses, and I ended up loving it. And then the other one, which I have not finished, and I actually haven't played it in a while, and I feel bad, is Tokyo Mirage, or Massage, if you're feeling freaky. And that's a really good game. I still have like positive feelings about it. It's definitely one of my favorite of this summer. But it's another one that I technically need to go back to. I'm only 16 hours in. I still want to.
I was going to ask you how long you had
hopefully.
played it. To me, I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like 16 hours in, I would trust your judgment whether or not you would put it in the top whatever list. So that's a good amount of time to put into it.
I mean, it's gonna probably be in my top 10 if I go back to it.
I mean,
if
do you
I
think it'll be
don't
your
go
best
back to it
Wii
and I
U game of the
keep
year, considering
ignoring-
the fact that there's been so many of those released?
It doesn't have a shot. I mean, the Wii U is just so loaded this
It
year.
really is. Yeah.
Tokyo Massage
Man.
has zero chance of making my top 50.
I love when a console
Wii
is clearly
games.
heading out the door and when they just start unloading with amazing software. That's what the Wii U is doing right now. It's so cool.
They're killing it.
Yeah.
Buy Twilight Princess and Tokyo Massage. That's all we got.
They're releasing like one game per season. You know, they're like, "Hey, what's our winter game?" Like that's it. Oh boy. All right.
Oh,
So
Nintendo,
here are my top 4, and I actually wrote them down without really putting them in order. So I'll give you the order. My favorite game from the summer was I Am Setsuna. It took me right back to the old RPGs, especially Chrono Trigger. It's been compared to a lot for good reason. So I Am Setsuna was my favorite game of the summer that came out this summer. My second favorite game, even though we just talked about how I've kind of faded away from it now, is No Man's Sky. That's my number 2 game for the summer. I liked it a lot. And I feel like I got, for the most part, my money's worth. And no other games, in my experience, have done what that game does. True, it doesn't deliver on all the promises that Sean Murray made. If you go back and watch all the internet sleuthing that people did to kind of see the old interviews and stuff he promised. But setting those things aside and just looking at it as a game experience, it was my second favorite game that came out this summer. Third was Inside. We just talked about it. I stand by what I said. It's overhyped and it's being overrated. But it was, of all the summer games that I played that came out in this 3-month window, very, very good. I really liked it. And then I got to throw in there Pokemon Go, just because it is enough of a game that I can throw it on that list for my favorites of the summer.
I don't know if the camera can catch my eyes rolling, but watch.
Got it.
Did it catch it? Okay.
Captured and remembered. So there you go. Hopefully this fall kind of reclaims the quality for this year. I mean, 2016
I think it will. I think
has
this
not
fall
been an
is
amazing year, but yeah, this
loaded.
fall looks stacked. So hopefully.
I mean, you did finish Watch Dogs, so I would hope that Watch Dogs left you wanting to play Watch Dogs 2 more.
Oh, definitely. Definitely it did. Yes.
I personally loved Dishonored, so Dishonored 2, the thought of it excites me. Gears of War 4, I know you're not as hyped for that as me, but that's just a game that I have to have.
Yeah, but Mafia
right now.
3,
Like, it's the
can't
one
wait
I
for
keep
Mafia
thinking
3.
about.
That's going to be amazing. Excited for that. Yeah.
And that, unfortunately, releases for me the same day as Gears of War 4, so I'm kind of afraid that I'm going to put so much attention on Gears that Mafia 3 kind of just slides back. Same thing with Watch Dogs 2 and Dishonored. They come out like 3 days apart, and I'm like, which one's going to grab me, and then the other one's going to get left behind, and
That's
I hate that.
Classic first world problems right there. That's what those are.
Can you see the tears?
I can.
So
All right, well, we've gone over time a little bit, but we've made it through without any nudity in the
Craig
background.
Flark just logged off. He is actually flicking us off right now.
Yeah.
Because we're 7 minutes late.
We are. We've gone over time. But Eli stayed clothed. He was on almost this entire episode in some way, shape, or form, and yet he stayed covered. So that's impressive.
Eli, say bye.
Bye.
Thank you for being on our show.
What?
Okay.
That's awesome.
You're welcome.
All right,
You're
guys.
welcome.
Thanks for listening. Sorry it wasn't as exciting of a closing this time.
No.
Uh,
Somebody walked in. I don't know who it was, but I think they had their clothes on.
Yeah, if they were naked, you would have seen me react. So,
Yeah.
all right. Well, thank you all for listening. Have a great week. We'll talk to you later.
Who is your daddy? I am the father.
You fathers will understand.
My father taught me many things.
I got an idea. How about you all sit there quietly while I make dad noises?